Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm going to be discussing something a little different today. I think we're going to start a little new series where we'll be talking about seasons that we like. And let's just get started with one of the first shows I ever watched when I was younger, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So I'm going to rank the 7 seasons of the show, just give a little quick synopsis and why I'm ranking them at this level. Buffy lasted for 7 seasons, pretty long for this type of show. Buffy's still one of my favorite all-time female characters. So at my very bottom, I have Buffy season 7. Season 7 to me, it needed to end, but I don't think they knew how they were going to end it. It's very confusing. We have Buffy struggling still after the aftermath of her, being resurrected from season 6. You have Spike, who's very confused and also very upset with all the stuff he did to Buffy. And then you have Caleb, who really wants to come around and hunt and kill all the lasting Slayers. And so you have the Slayers and Buffy, the Scooby Gang, everybody like coming together and wanting to defeat the almighty bad guy. I found this season very frustrating, especially because I thought nobody could defeat this bad guy, Caleb and everything. And the season just, from season 6 to season 7, it just fell apart for me. I think it had a decent ending. Spike sacrificing himself is probably the best part in the whole season. At the end, he does it for Buffy. And that relationship, to me, I really love in the whole series. So that's the only good part to me. The whole season, though, is this wishy-washy. I mean, they all survive, but Sunnydale is gone, and that's it. At number 6, I have season 5. I did not love this season. I'm not going to lie. I love Buffy in the series as a whole, and I love the gang, but I did not like the villain in this season, Glory. She was another one that you just could not defeat. Anything she did, she just took everyone down. And I just wanted Buffy to kick some major butt, honestly. In the beginning of the season, you have Buffy and Riley. They go their separate ways. Buffy's feeling a little lost. Probably the best episode out of the whole season 5 is an episode called Body. That's when Buffy finds her mom has passed away. She's diagnosed with a brain tumor, and it's a very emotional and an intense episode. There's no music, no sound. It's Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy with raw emotions, and it's a great episode. It's the best episode the whole season. You also have the introduction of Dawn, who is her sister, and I am not a fan of her sister. At the end of this season, Buffy sacrifices herself to save her sister because Glory wanted her sister as the key. It's very confusing this season. There's a key, there's Glory, who's like this person is so powerful. You have that really great emotional episode. You have Spike fantasizing and in love with Buffy. It's just all over the place. So that's why it's at my number 6. At my number 5, I have season 3 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I like this season. I like the introduction of Faith. She is another Slayer who's introduced when Buffy in the previous season goes into Hellmouth, and it's technically like she died, so another Slayer is born. Faith, as a rebellious type character who doesn't give anything away and is very different from Buffy, who follows rules, has guidelines, and does her Slayer job very seriously. You have the mayor, who's the villain in this one. I mean, at the end, he turns into a giant snake. So it's very interesting. Again, I like this season. You have an interesting episode with Spike. As you can tell, I'm going to talk about Spike a lot because I really, really love Spike in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He's probably one of my favorite characters. He's a very interesting character and is always changing, and it's just something new each time you see him. Season 3 also is the ending of Buffy in high school before she transitions in college, and so it's a very interesting time. That's the development of the Scooby Gang and them solving mysteries and hunting demons and whatever comes out in the night. It's a pretty overall good cohesive season, and I enjoyed it a lot. At my number 4, I have Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 2. It's very interesting. This is where the relationship of Buffy and Angel develop. I'm not a huge fan of Angel. I know a lot of people love Buffy and Angel together. I wasn't a fan. His very good side, he's like too good, but his bad side's really good, and there's like a major flip where he just turns and snaps, and basically Buffy has to figure out if she wants to be with Angel or have to defeat him. You also have the introduction of Spike in season 2, and he's mainly the bad guy in this season. He just wants to destroy Slayer. He doesn't like her, and he gets with Angel, and they try to take down Buffy. But Buffy at the end is a very emotional episode at this finale where she has to stab Angel through the heart and send him through the hellmouth because he's just done terrible, terrible things. You're really starting to see in season 2 where the show's going to start progressing. Season 2 is kind of dark. It's, you know, they just have interesting, fun episodes, and it just, yeah, it's a good season. At number 3, I have Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1. I like this season. It did not do as well when it first started. It came out in the summer, I believe, and they weren't sure how they were gonna market it or advertise it. It's a shorter season. You get the introduction of Buffy, how she becomes a Slayer, her mentor Giles, who's the Watcher, Xander and Willow, her 2 besties, and also Cordelia, who later goes on to the Angel series. But it just really sums up the whole Buffy universe. You know who she's fighting. There's also, I need to mention, a lot of good practical effects, especially the vampire facial expressions. That is all makeup, and it's just crazy. Now you look years later in the Vampire Diaries, that's all digitally effect, and they use makeup and just a lot of practical effects in all the Buffy seasons, and I really, really like that with the teeth, everything. It just made it feel a little more real in the universe. And you're also introduced to Sunnydale, which doesn't seem that sunny and happy because they always have stuff going on. And she's basically just trying to close the Hellmouth and fighting the big bad vampire. At number 2, I have Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 4. I really like this season. It's a little different. Buffy's going to college. She's confused how her Slayer job in college and what she wants is her career. It's all very confusing at this time. She meets Riley, who's part of this initiative that goes and hunts down as well all these creatures, but there's also a secret society because they're actually locking these creatures and trying to make a mega creature. It's kind of like a old horror movie where they're making this evil creature in the lab. It really has like those same tones to it. You have a lot of like comedy between Spike and Buffy in this season. He's not in the whole season, but anytime he comes up, I just love it. His comedy in season 4, that's where he starts to shine a little more. You also have glimpses that Angel in an episode when he meets Riley's, Buffy's current boyfriend, that whole dynamic and how Buffy needs to move on from Angel and it's really tough for her. Faith is also returns in this season. She also returned in season 7, which I didn't mention, but she's a character that I like because it was just so different from Buffy and it was this complete opposite, and I thought she brought a lot to the show, so I liked seeing her in this season. You also are introduced, I don't know if it's the first, but a lesbian couple, Willow and Tara. I love their relationship in Buffy. That relationship is just so special. I just loved Tara when she came onto the show. It also spawned Willow and her magical powers. They worked together and they learned that they were witches, and it was really cool. I really like that aspect to the show. I cannot forget though to not talk about this episode. It's called Hush. This episode is so eerie and creepy. Basically, there's these doctors that are floating. They take away everybody's voices. So the whole episode, no one can talk, and they all have to use expressions on their face. This is by far one of my favorite episodes in Buffy. It was so creative, so inventive. It's always up there in the top episodes from a TV show. It had such a horror aspect to it. This episode, if you have not seen or even watched Buffy, you could just dive right in because it just immediately starts. Everybody loses their voices, and it's the music that they add just to add the creepiness factor to the episode. It is so good. Obviously, Buffy defeats it. That episode stands out for me. And at my number 1, I have Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 6. I may be in the minority with this one, but this is one of my favorite seasons. I just loved how this weird, twisted relationship of Buffy and Spike blossomed. Spike initially hated Buffy and then adored her and then wanted to be with her. Buffy never ever wanted to be with Spike, hated him. Once she is resurrected from the dead in the previous season, She is lost. She's confused. She feels like she doesn't have a soul anymore. She doesn't understand why her friends brought her back. She felt like she was in heaven. She felt like she was at peace. That was just all out the window. And so she found a lot of like reassurance with Spike, and their relationship grew. My favorite episode in this season is definitely the singing episode. It's basically a mini musical. Yeah, not all the actors can sing well. I do have this on a soundtrack on a CD, and I did listen to it a lot when I was younger. I'm not gonna lie. I jammed out to Rest in Peace. I just love this episode. It was so different and inventive during that time. I mean, I don't think a lot of other TV shows were taking those bounds and leaps, creating these interesting episodes. That episode's so good. I can just rewatch it, rewatch it all the time. I also love that this season took a dark undertone. Season 5, just in every episode, is very light. Even though it was, took place at night, it didn't have this like really dark undertone what that season 6 ended up having, and then it was lost in season 7. They made it more lighter, and I really love the dark undertone in season 6. Willow, after Taro's death, she is consumed by dark magic, and she is the main villain in this one. At the end, it's like really touching because you have Xander trying to get to her and tell her that everything's going to be okay, and tell her that, all their friendship and everything's so important for her to, stop this, because it's just not worth it at the end. The whole season of season 6 is this, it is emotional. It has all these messaging. I just love it. It's different. You knew it was coming to the end, but the relationship between Buffy and Spike is just great. I love James Marsters as Spike. I've actually met him at Comic-Con, and it's just really cool. It's just one of those characters I always look back on. Any vampire show, I'm always going to think about Spike. This is like a show. It probably wasn't the best show for me to watch at a young age, but that's where I grew to love television. And then I progressed watching other TV shows, and it was really random. I remember my brother and I watching this whole series, and it just stuck with us, and I love Buffy. I wanted to be her, and everything about it is such a powerful message of her being a strong, independent woman who can do anything she wants. And I think it's a great character for young girls to look up to, and guys. I mean, she was a kick-butt character. So this sums up my whole ranking of all the seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let me know if you've ever checked out Buffy the Vampire Slayer and what you thought about it. I heard rumblings that they're going to try to revamp it and have it come back. I don't know how I feel about that, because I love the original so much. It just brings back a lot of memories for me of watching it when I was younger. So remember to always like and subscribe. We always appreciate your support, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.